Trey Hendrickson is back with the Bengals. There he is this morning as the holdout moves to a hold-in. Hendrickson has been absent for the team's first week of workouts as he tries to land a contract extension ahead of the upcoming season. Now, according to a source, his impending arrival serves as a good faith gesture to spark negotiations with the team. Potentially step in the right direction. Louis, what do you make of his return to Cincy with no deal?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things at play here. One, as you alluded to, I think obviously he wants to get these negotiations kick-started because he's obviously frustrated with what's going on, and he probably figures as though, look, if I come in here, I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing a damn thing. I'm not touching the field. But maybe that'll show them that, look, I'm serious about being the dude that everyone knows that I am already. Not that I need to prove it to you, that I'm the consummate team player. You know I'm that guy. You know I'm the guy that you need coming off the edge in order for us to have any kind of shot of being a contender in any way or shape or form in the North. Now, let's just see if we can get this going. Also, that $50,000 a day starts to add up. And that's money that cannot be forfeited. I mean, that cannot be just waived. He's going to have to pay that fine when ultimately he signs his contract. I'm just shocked that we're even at this point, though. I really am. I'm shocked that a guy of Trey Hendrickson's football character, personal character, his production on the field in the past, and what you project him to do in the future is at a point where now we're continuing to drag this on because with every single day that he misses, you're putting him at risk for some kind of stupid or ridiculous, unnecessary soft tissue injury or something of that nature that winds up cutting down on his production once you do get him under contract and get him on the football field. And then the conversation becomes, see, this is what happens when you pay guys who are going to be 31 years old and they miss time and they're guys who they're on the downside of their career when it really, this is all unnecessary. This is an easy contract to do. This should be figured out. I just don't understand these types of things. It's hard enough to build a football team, but with premium players that are premium people that have produced for you in the past and are going to produce for you in the future, this is easy. And it seems like the NFL has a habit of making this very difficult.
Well, let's get to one thing. He signed a 2-year extension last year, and he's under contract. He's not a free agent. He's under contract. So he is contractually, in a court of law, he'd lose because he is under contract. Now, you want to tell me he's overperformed his contract?
He's
so the Bengals,
way overperformed
but if he underperformed his contract, he wouldn't get the money. He wouldn't get the money back.
But he didn't underperform it, so we don't have to talk about that.
Louis,
but he didn't.
But Louis, has Dak Prescott underperformed his contract, yet he gets his $60 million. There are plenty of people who underperform, who don't give their money back. I stunk this year, take the money back. I didn't earn it. That's the way it goes. You sign a contract, you have to live up to your contract. Trey Hendrickson is under contract. Now, I don't have any problem. Good job for him. I think he wants to play. I think they'll work out an agreement. But the bottom line is, be fair here, Louis.
Hold on.
He's not a free agent.
First of all,
he signed his contract.
Dak got hurt.
But, has he underperformed in the past based on the money that he has been paid? Yes, he has.
Has he underperformed in the past? Let's see.
Okay,
so what are we basing that on? Are we basing that on team success or his individual performance?
Individual success. Okay. When he stinks in the playoffs and he's making $45 million a year, you say, you know what? I didn't earn that $45 million. I got to do better there. Here's $20 million back. No, he didn't. I got a contract. I'm taking the money. And this is the same thing with Hendrickson. He had 17.5 sacks last year. He is under contract.
So you're saying, do you believe that any contract should be renegotiated when you grossly outperform your salary?
And how about, should it go the other way?
Let me ask you
How about if you underperform?
Well, teams can wind up asking you to take a pay cut. Oh, they can wind up asking you to take a pay cut. They can wind up asking you to do that. They can ask you to do it just like you can ask for a pay raise.
Right, I understand that, but no team says take less money because they know that's going to cause many grief. They have the contract. They live up to the terms of that contract. Why hasn't Hendrickson lived up to the terms of that contract? He's under. He signed it 2 years ago. He moaned and groaned about how he wasn't paid. They gave him a 3-year contract 2 years. He's still under contract this season. You and I can't do that. Well, I've outperformed ESPN. I'm not coming to work unless you give me another deal.
You know what, Doggy? Zip it.
No,
Zip it. I've had enough of you. Zip it right now.
No,
zip it.
You're
okay.
Nuts.
Here's the deal.
Here's the deal. I'm surprised you.
Just because you look younger and you got the energy of somebody in their 20s doesn't negate the fact that you're an old curmudgeon, because that's how you're acting right now. The contract. Trey Hendrickson has 35 sacks over the last 2 years.
Right.
That's 4.5 sacks more than anybody
I agree.
in the
He's great.
National Football League.
Yes.
On top of that, hold on, I said zip it. I just told you to zip it, okay? I'm talking. The bottom line is this. This defense is horrid. He is the one bright spot. He's also the guy that the franchise, Joe Burrow, came on this show during Super Bowl week and said, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Trey Hendrickson, we got to take care of those three. You understand? Why is it not a surprise that Trey Hendrickson is in this situation? Because it's Mike Brown, the owner of the Cincinnati Bengals. You've been covering this league long enough, doggy. You know how bad Mike Brown is. You know how notoriously cheap he has been, tight with his dollars, the decision making. Now listen, not only does he own the team, him and Jerry Jones are only the only de facto GMs, or GMs rather, from an ownership perspective in the National Football League as well. This man lets the committee, influence him to some degree, but he's the one that makes the decision. And we all know that he was reviled for how he was running this for years. They lucked up and got Joe Burrow. That's what changed their fortune. So we got to remember that. And when you bring up, your contract, the contract, you're not separating the NFL from basketball, from baseball and stuff like that. This is not them. They've clearly come to players and let them know you don't take less, we're going to get you up out of here. The NFL has done that on many, many occasions. Lewis knows I'm right.
Yeah.
It's not always there. This is the National Football League.
Yeah, you know
so
what?
it happens. So how are you acting like you don't know that, doggy?
Dog, you're talking about honoring contracts. How many teams have cut players for salary cap reasons as far as honoring a contract?
Well, it's about the guarantee.
No.
You can't count.
How many times do teams cut players because they
It's a
feel
salary cap.
as
They have to.
they have to?
They got to get under the salary cap. Somebody's got to go.
Oh, okay.
It's a
So what they
salary
do is
cap
they make business decisions. You're talking about honoring hold on, you said honor the contract. It's not the player's job to manage the salary cap for a football team. So if you can't manage it and you can't honor my contract as was negotiated, that's not my problem. That's your problem as a team. But they're allowed to cut players. They're allowed to cut players for salary cap reasons, right? Well, I'll tell you what, as a player, I should be allowed for salary cap reasons to say this. I'm woefully underpaid relative to the salary cap and relative to the salaries of other teams in other players at my position. So guess what? I don't give a damn about what I just signed. I want a raise. Just like you can tell me, either you take a pay cut because we have to get under the salary cap or you're out the door. I'm telling you, either give me a raise or I'm not coming through the door. And that's exactly what's happening, dog.
That's right.
That's exactly what's happening.
They don't do that in baseball and basketball, but they do it in football.
I don't like to support Mike Brown, but Steve, be fair.
But that's what's happening.
He paid $300 million to the two receivers.
That is not Trey Hendrickson's problem.
Well,
No. I'm talking about the past.
But you
I'm
have
not
to
talking about
spend it
this.
under the salary
I'm talking
cap.
about the past.
Then get someone else to manage your salary cap. Or don't listen to Joe Burrow. Don't just sit there.
So now you're not going to listen to a $4 million quarterback?
Hey, well, I'll tell you what.
Lewis.
It's not Trey Hendrickson's responsibility. I'm just telling you. It's not. Yes, sir.
Lewis. Molly, we can move on, Molly and Lewis, because Doggy is lying through his teeth. For years, this man has done radio, and he has lamented the Cincinnati Bengals. He barely talks about them.
Yeah, he has. That's
They
true.
were not relevant until Joe Burrow arrived, and Mike Brown was considered one of the worst owners in football. There was once fans had bags over their heads for years.
Fair.
Stop it.
He's done a good job.
All right, so don't bring up what he just did for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins.
And they're going to get boat raced in the North with no defense.
All right, gentlemen, I got to take us to commercial break, but this is the first take that I know. Some good debate. Staying in the division as new head coach of the Bears and unlocking the potential of second-year QB Caleb Williams. So far, progress is being made, folks. Here's Ben Johnson on Caleb's growth.
I probably just see growth. He is so much more comfortable right now, even yesterday, the walkthrough yesterday, just in terms of moving around. We go from gun to under to the tight ends are moving, the receivers are moving. We're adding a few more every single day. And so I think his process, and I told him this on the player day off, his process is really clean right now. I'm talking about how he's preparing. I'm really pleased with it. He's doing the work behind the scenes that no one else is seeing, and we're starting to see the dividends being paid from it.
Kimberley A. Martin, everybody, joining the party. Great to have you with
Kim.
us. Coming to you. Kmart, what does success look like for Caleb in Chicago?
I'm going to say that if Caleb Williams is playing competitive football in December and January, if this is a team that we think can potentially win their division, I'm good with that. Understand, there will be growing pains with a Ben Johnson offense. He's building this offense again from scratch. They're going over the fundamentals. Ben Johnson is obsessive about the details. So in September, early on, I don't think it's going to look pretty, and I need people to have some patience with this offense and with this team, and particularly Caleb. I think what you want to see is a guy who looks competent and confident running this system, knowing where to go with the football. So if you are playing in December and January, games that could decide the division, potentially being a playoff team, I'm good with that.
I agree with you 100%. I don't think you can necessarily win the division. I like what Ben Johnson said, but let's put a little caveat next to this. This is 1 week of training camp. Let's not forget last year against Detroit on Thanksgiving, he didn't know what he was doing in the last couple minutes of the game. They didn't get the field goal off.
Yeah.
They lost the Lions, and then the coach got fired. And Caleb Williams did a terrible job running that offense late in the game. Let's not forget that. Until you see him in those situations, and I love Ben Johnson, and he's got all this ability in the world. He was a great quarterback at USC when Heisman. But I got to see him, games on the line, 80 yards, big spot, on the road to think I'm watching the next Hall of Fame quarterback. I got to see that first. How's that?
Stephen A?
I think success is them competing for the division title. Now, that seems far-fetched with Detroit and Minnesota in the division, and I get that. But we have to remember there was a bevy of injuries that took place with Detroit, obviously, before, on the defensive side of the ball, before they lost that playoff game to the Commanders. Yes, you're going to get most of those guys back healthy, we hope, right? But you lost both coordinators. Both coordinators became head coaches. So there's a lot of change that's taking place in Detroit. How's that going to affect them? Minnesota. Yeah, we can say what we want about Sam Darnold, but they were 14-2 before that last game of the regular season, and then ultimately getting blitzed by the Rams in the postseason. So there's question marks about them because of what J.J. McCarthy is going to bring to the table. He's a rookie. We don't know. He didn't play a game last year, obviously, because he was hurt his rookie year. So he's essentially a rookie. Then we have to think about Chicago in this regard. People forget because they went on a 10-game losing streak, fired their coach, seemed to be just in complete disarray. We forget that over the first 6 weeks of the season, they were 4-2. With Caleb Williams as a rookie quarterback, with no protection, en route to getting sacked 68 times last year. He was getting slaughtered. This is so if you've improved your offensive line, you still got your receivers in place, your running back in place, a quarterback with a more brilliant offensive mind in Ben Johnson. He'll never be confused with evil fools, I can tell you that much, okay? The bottom line is that there's reason to hope that come December, the Chicago Bears will be relevant and in the mix in challenging for the division crown. That's all I'm saying. I don't expect them to win, but I'm talking about come December, you're in the mix and challenging for there. You don't completely disappear.
Is that really a fair expectation for the Bears to be challenging for the division title?
You don't want them to be out of the division title in October.
I agree. Right.
So to Stephen's point, they started off the season strong last year. You know why they lost? You know why the season sort of careened? The Jaden Daniels game, that Hail Mary, that's when everything seemed to sort of, the Commanders went up and the Bears went down. And I think we kind of have to have patience with Caleb, not comparing him to, well, we're seeing Jaden Daniels having all this success. It's not about anybody else but what the Bears are building, a franchise that has not shown it can develop a quarterback properly yet. Hopefully this is the guy.
Well, the thing that would disturb me a little bit if I was a Bear fan, you don't hear Washington talking about, well, this is what Jaden Daniels has to do, the growth, look how he's doing under center, the shotgun. They know they got a big quarterback. Bears don't know that yet. So it's almost like Ben Johnson's giving the media a pep talk and trying to pep Caleb Williams up every time he talks in training camp. This is the second time he's done it.
He's also being asked those questions because of that, where they're not asking those questions with Jaden
because they know
they have a franchise guy.
And they don't know that in Chicago. They don't know that in Chicago.
But you think that's up for debate? Everyone.
Yes, I think it's up for debate.
I think
about greatness.
Chicago by virtue of picking him, they felt he was a franchise guy. I think Chicago may have had the wrong head coach in place. Clearly, that's at least what they thought. And firing Matt Eberflus halfway through the season, and then you get Thomas Brown in there as the interim OC to head coach. I think they feel like they have the guy, but the coaching staff has been the issue. Now they got to start from zero. That's why I'm preaching the patience, because they have undermined his development, but also Caleb has to be better with the fundamentals.
Yeah, they got the guy.
Well, Dougie, let me.
Sorry, Steve.
Let me say this, Dougie. Listen, I think they know they got the guy. I mean, he's got an NFL body. He's strong. He clearly can take punishment. With a suspect offensive line that had him on suicide watch, the dude still threw for 3,500 plus yards, 20 touchdowns, just 6 interceptions as a rookie without being protected. I think that now that you got Ben Johnson in there, there's a lot of reason to look at this dude and to say, excuse me, he can get it done. I don't think they're questioning whether or not he can ball and he can get it done. I think that Jaden Daniels is the bar, and now they're saying that was the number 2 overall pick. Can you match what we saw that brother in Washington do?